Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, Bitcoin holders, get ready. We are in recession. That's right. Actually, I have data that shows that we are actually in recession. But is it a temporary one? Is it a small one? Is it going to be a prolonged one? Well, let's talk about it. And let's talk about everything else that's affecting Bitcoin right now. Since yesterday to today, we had further dip and it's looking bad, but is all hope lost? Again, let's talk about it. All right, let's do it. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you guys are doing well, hanging in there. Like I said, Bitcoin is down from yesterday. When I was streaming, it was actually up here. You know, the George effect kicked in. We were at 65,000, and now, unfortunately, went down almost, another 8% since then. We're sitting at 60,600. So what happened? What happened to bring us down this much within a single day? Well, a lot of things happened yesterday. That's why we are where we are. So let's cover some of it. First of all, this was the biggest thing. We had a jobs report in the U.S., which showed the overall jobs added in July was way less than expected. It was supposed to be 185,000, and it came in at 114,000. Not only that, the unemployment rate went up to 4.3%. 4.3% is not the highest in history, but it's certainly not somewhere we want to be. And this is the chart that I wanted to show you guys. I got to remove my camera here, right? So according to the Sahm Rule, I think that's how you say Sahm Rule, which is a way to measure whether or not the U.S. is in recession. So it takes like a 3-month average, and in the 3-month average, it shows the unemployment rate went up by 0.53. That means you're in recession. And it has been so accurate, like every single time that this has triggered, the U.S. has actually gone into recession. Now, the only saving grace to this is even the person that created this rule thinks that maybe right now, right, even though we have breached that mark, we may not be going into recession because we still have a giant rate cut or FOMC decision that's coming next month, right? And that may affect things. And we know that things are very different right now. I mean, the economy is still like kind of wonky from years ago. So there's a chance that this is off this time. But the thing is, if you go back to all previous times, remember the dot-com bubble, right? Remember the housing bubble, and remember the pandemic? This predicted recessions, and we hit every single time. Even the ones in the 80s, the 90s, every single one. So this is actually showing we are in recession. But hopefully it's a fake out. Hopefully it's something that we can stop. If the unemployment rate stops, if the jobs come back, if the economy gets spurred up again, maybe we can stop this, right? That's why a lot of people felt that Powell should have cut the Fed fund rate last month because there's this big gap between July and September. It's not even beginning of September. The next FOMC meeting is mid-September, right? So we got this whole month and a half to wait. Now, I don't know if there could be an emergency like FOMC meeting where they decide we need to just cut rate right now. Maybe after what happened on Friday in the stock market, stock market got brutally sold off. on Friday too, right? Because of all this stuff, because of all the data coming out. So now if you look at September, not only do we have a 78% chance for a 25 basis point cut, now we have a 22% chance of a 50 basis point cut, which is what I said, right? Because the Fed has to play catch up. If things get really, really dire by September, then he has to do a 50 basis point cut immediately, and maybe even going on higher, 75 point cut. But, you know, who knows? Who knows, right? So that's why a lot of people thought that he should have cut last month, and unfortunately that didn't happen. And now we're sitting in this area where the markets are selling off brutally right now, okay? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Like, you know, I mentioned, it's not just Bitcoin. Like, Intel had a worse day in Wall Street in 50 years. 50 years. It fell down 26% due to bad quarterly results. And it's the lowest price in a decade. Of course, Intel is kind of sucking anyways. It's losing to NVIDIA and others. But, I mean, it's not just them. NVIDIA lost over $1 trillion in market cap. And Microsoft and Apple, they aren't doing any better either. And Warren Buffett just sold 50% of his Apple stake. That's pretty dramatic. Warren Buffett, you know, he made all his money in prior years with Apple. And he just decided to sell 50%. So he's definitely thinking that the markets are going to get worse and we're probably in recession, and he's just loading up on cash right now just to see what happens, right? He's taking profits right now, locking in the cash. So, I mean, overall, at least for the U.S. market, at least for U.S., it's looking a little bad right now. Looking a little bad. Of course, it's only been a week, right? But this whole week has been absolutely horrible. Maybe next week we do get better. The market comes up again. People see it as a buying opportunity. And then, you know, a lot of this kind of goes away. Or maybe not. Maybe not. The crypto fear greed index, you know, this is how fast sentiment moves. We were in greed last week. We're in greed. Everything, you know, the Bitcoin conference, the Trump speech, and everything else that was happening. Germany stopped selling. We were in greed last week. Things were looking good. People were feeling good once again. And now we are in fear. Even yesterday, we were still in greed. And now it turned fearful, right? Unfortunately, sentiment has changed really, really quickly because we just have a lot of nonsense, okay? A lot of geopolitical stuff, a lot of macro stuff that's happening all simultaneously, right? And we, of course, have more FUD within the crypto space too. It just seems like there's never-ending selling from different entities, like all over the place, right? We just got done with Germany. Mt. Gox is almost done. Like, we're down to like 40% or 30%, right? Department of Justice starts selling. We don't know if that's going to continue on or not. And then now, you know, Arkham reported that Genesis just moved $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin and ETH for repayments as well, because Genesis went bankrupt and now they're repaying. So that's another $1.5 billion being given out. Is this going to be sold or held? We don't know, right? It just seems like every single day there's some kind of new repayment that is causing FUD. But the good thing is, after this is done, we don't have to worry about Genesis ever again, right? So hopefully this doesn't cause more of a sell-off, or maybe this is what caused it or contributed to it at least. Mark Cuban also received $20 million worth of ETH from the bankruptcy, right? So obviously he's probably pretty happy about that, but a lot of people are getting it back. Genesis was primarily for institutions though, but they also did the Earn program for Gemini Earn. So those of you guys that had money on Gemini Earn, you probably will be getting your money back too. So that's the good thing. Anyways, like I said, there's just a lot of fear, okay? There's a lot of geopolitical stuff. The U.S. is going through all this right now, right? But it's also countries around the world. Japan is in a much dire position than we are. And I'm sure the Eurozone is it's going through the same thing. So a lot of geopolitical stuff going on, macro stuff going on, right? In terms of the overprinting still. The money printer is starting, and I'm going to show you guys that. And they got a lot of stuff going on, right? And of course, we got wars still going. The Middle East seems like that's escalating. So that's why we got so much FUD everywhere. So much FUD everywhere. But the good news is we have Bitcoin, okay? This is the reason why Bitcoin was created. This is the reason why Bitcoin is the ultimate asset that we have. The ultimate, the ultimate asset, because it's pure. You don't have anyone, there's no central authority controlling it. You don't have governments manipulating it. It does not read the news. It does not fall for FUD. It does not care if there's war going on in the Middle East or anywhere else. Okay? Bitcoin is pure, controlled by code, governed by the miners, and it just continues forward. And it's scarce, and demand keeps going up. And those that understand this and understand that all fiat is going to zero and being manipulated, they're loading up on Bitcoin, right? So let me show you something. Let me show you what Larry Fink is doing. So, of course, I've been showing this every single day. Bitcoin ETF and Flow, right? On Friday, it was pretty brutal. Minus $237 million. And you could see Grayscale sold 45 million. And then ARK sold 87 million. Bitwise sold 30 million. Fidelity sold 104 million. Now you could say, well, they didn't sell themselves. It's just people panic selling their stocks, which in essence forces them to sell Bitcoin. But guess who didn't sell? BlackRock. BlackRock still took in $43 million. Right? This is what I've been saying with BlackRock and Larry Fink. They don't move. They're not behaving like any other fund company or fund issuer. Okay? While others are adding and subtracting, BlackRock is the only one that continues to add and add and add and add and add and add. They never have outflows. They had one day that was a small little outflow, and I think Larry Fink said that was a mistake, and he stopped that. So even on a brutal day on Friday when everyone was panic selling, BlackRock bought another $43 million. Okay? So that's the thing. People that truly understand, people like Larry Fink now, who truly understands, they are believers for life, and they will continue to load up and stock up on Bitcoin no matter what. That's what you're supposed to do. When Bitcoin is low, when it's on discount, that's when you're supposed to be picking up. Warren Buffett has said this. George Soros have said this. All the famous investors on Wall Street have always said this. All the self-made billionaires have said this. Not specifically about Bitcoin, but you buy when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own blood. You buy when others are fearful. You're supposed to load up when prices are cheap, not towards the top. Most investors FOMO in at the top or getting close to the top because they feel like everyone's making so much money, so they need to join in. Very little investors realize that you're supposed to buy when prices are low, when others are panic selling. That's when you're supposed to do it. And then you hodl, and then you wait for the gains to come to you. That's what BlackRock is doing. That's what so many others are doing. Sailor's raising $2 billion to buy more Bitcoin, right? Van Eyck is also saying that 30% of his own portfolios in Bitcoin, and he believes it'll go to 350,000. I mean, these are some big Wall Street titans, and we haven't heard from Cathie Wood recently, but these are big Wall Street titans that believe in Bitcoin, right? And I shared this story on Friday. Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan already done this. A lot of these big banks are now telling their wealthy clients to go buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETFs. JP Morgan already started. Even though Jamie Dimon is so negative on Bitcoin, his company isn't. JP Morgan was probably the very first bank or very first big bank to tell their wealthy clients to go buy Bitcoin. And now others are following, and they can pitch Bitcoin ETFs too. And pretty soon all the banks will be doing that, right? Because the wealthy understands. The big money, the smart money understands Bitcoin is the way. Bitcoin is what you want to load up on. And yes, we have volatility all the time. And I know it sucks. No one wants to see their portfolio go down X amount over a single day, right? But we have seen this story before. It's not like we haven't seen it. We've seen 53,000 just last month, and we've seen lower than that in prior months. We have seen a volatility. You got to take the bad with the good, because when the good comes, you go forget all this, and it's going to make everything worth it. Right? That's just how it works. That's just how it works. Right? And we got good stuff coming up too. We got really good stuff coming too. So it's not like it's all bad. Right now, temporary, it's bad. We got 2,200 letters of support sent to U.S. senators in regards to this Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Imagine if that happened, right? Imagine if this is reality, where the U.S. government or the Treasury Department starts loading up on Bitcoin and buys up to 5% of the supply. That would be absolute insanity. If the U.S. officially did this, other countries would be forced to follow. Other countries would say, well, we don't want the U.S. to be leading the Bitcoin charge. We want to be part of that, or we want to lead that. And this is going to cause, a war among countries in terms of Bitcoin accumulation. So that is something we have to look forward to, right? And could be quite tremendous. And of course, we got the rate cut that's coming up, right? Could be a massive one. And of course, who knows? Who knows who may be buying? We get these random spikes all the time, right? Random spikes of large buys causes short squeezes. There are $10 billion worth of shorts. There's probably more than that. Last time I covered it was like 10 billion, but it's probably like more than that. Between now and just $70,000. Just a couple of short squeezes can get us up there. And a lot of whale volume right now. Look at this. Bitcoin whale volume from exchanges hits 9-year high. 9-year high. Right? Okay, my camera's cutting this off. But basically, whales with over 1,000 Bitcoin, they're on the move. And generally speaking, when this happens, that means good things are about to follow, right? Could be that they're loading up right now. Loading up in preparation for the next big move. Or because they realize that the economy is really shitty. The DXY, okay, which measures the dollar strength, is breaking downwards. Now, a lot of you guys have mentioned this before. This is pretty good. Usually, this is really good for Bitcoin, right? DXY has been really high for far too long, and now is starting to break downwards. So this could be another catalyst too. If this continues downwards, if I had a chart that showed DXY with Bitcoin's price, you'll see that they are going in complete opposite directions in most times. Okay, so the DXY is going down, so that's another big catalyst. The money supply is going up. You can see that the overall money supply for the dollar has been pretty stagnant since like the beginning of 2022, maybe up a little bit, but overall we've been going sideways. But look at how much money was printed in 2020 and 2021, right? We added over 30% of the supply in just 2 years. 30%, okay? 30% in 2 years. That's a crazy amount. That's why we have inflation. That's why Powell is working so hard to try to bring things down with his insane rate hikes. But now we've gone too far. So now he has to pull back. Not only that, we need to start printing money again, right? But when you print money, what does that do? That causes inflation to go up. That makes it harder for him to cut the Fed fund rate down if inflation starts going up. So we're kind of in that place between a rock and a hard place for Powell, because he wants to get inflation down to 2%, but can he ever do that if the government continues to print more money, right? So you could see it's ticking upwards. But my point is this: inflation causes assets to go upwards, which is good. And two, when the money printer goes brrr like that, I can't do that. But if it starts printing and liquidity starts going out there, well, that's also good for investments too. So this is probably lagging for a little bit, so you have to wait it out a little bit. But it is happening. It's happening. And something else that's good is if you're looking at Bitcoin's pattern right now, and you're looking at the Wyckoff reaccumulation pattern, we are moving according to plan. Okay? Meaning that this is all done right now, maybe by Larry Fink himself, because BlackRock is the only ETF that just continues to add no matter what. If this is true, then this is just going according to plan, and people recognize it, right? So if you look at a phase B, and then you have the spring dump, which was around 53,000. Then you have a little recovery, and then you have a test downwards, which is where we are, around 60,000. And if we get past this, then we go back up to about 68,000, and then we hover around 73,000 a little bit, and then boom, we're ready to break above to a new high. And that could all be coming within the next few months, guys. So again, we go through these periods. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes just things we cannot control that causes prices to fluctuate and go down. And there's a lot of fun. But the thing is, it happens all the time, and sentiment and movement and momentum changes rapidly. By the end of August, we could be at $70,000, and no one will remember what happened now. Only the people that DCA will remember, because they're better off for it, right? In a single month, a lot of things can change. Just like the crypto greed fear index. We go from greed of last month to fear. Next week, we could be back into greed again. It actually can happen, right? So that's why you guys got to stay strong. Stay focused on the future and ignore the FUD. Continue to HODL and DCA and wait for the gains to come to you. The parabolic bull phase of this market has not started yet. Okay, we're about to enter that zone. When we hit September, October, that's when we really hit the parabolic phase. And that could bring Bitcoin up to whatever heights. This one is saying Bitcoin's going to go up to like $1 million. Probably not going to happen this cycle, okay? But can we break six figures by the end of this year? Yes. And can we go to $200,000, $300,000 by the end of next year? Yes, right? But you got to just have patience. You got to storm the weather when we have fearful periods, right? All right, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Let's do some Q&A. Hold on, sorry, I lost a chat. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I missed anything. Scrolling upwards. Let's see. Switch lanes. When CA had heard four-wheel traders YouTube channel prices are coming down. I mentioned this yesterday. All car prices are coming down. If you could afford to get a car right now, this would be a great time because you can negotiate and you can negotiate below MSRP and a lot of these car manufacturers are offering really low interest rates now again. Because they can't sell cars right now. They just want to like dump them, basically. MJ Matrix says, George, help me understand when the data shows jobless claims decreased, the market going down because no rate cut. Now jobless reports increased and the market's going down. Help me understand. Because before, people were hoping that jobless claims going down, okay, would help Powell cut the Fed fund rate faster. That's why the markets went up. Now it's going down because people are fearful of recession. There's no FOMC meeting until September. So that means August can be absolutely brutal. And if we continue down this path and we actually go into recession, then that's even worse. That's why. So now the narrative has changed. Things have gotten so bad, everyone's fearful of recession. Will IFC fights have men box girls now? No. It's there's a lot of controversy at the Olympics, I realize. So, no. I enjoy your DCA nights been following. What are your thoughts on moving from a 15-20 coin portfolio to a 4 or 5 coin strong? Yeah. That's perfectly fine. I try not to make too many changes in my DCA portfolio because some of those coins I've held for years, so I don't want to like make too many changes, but holding 4 to 5 strong could be really good. You could argue like 3 strong or 4, yeah. Brack, do you think 50, 25, 25 can still do a 3 5x? Yes. I think it could do more than that. 5 to 10x minimum. Chances of a Fed emergency rate cut? I don't know. I don't know when we last had an emergency cut. Crow. When is my fight with Bradley Barton? I think that'll be a great fight. No, it wouldn't. I think you would destroy Bradley Barton. You're just too big, man. You're just too big. But if you do ever want to get into the pit again, just let me know. Singapore will be the next one during Token 2049. It's going to be pretty awesome. Eli, why was it a shock? We were heading to recession with all the indicators over last year. We were heading, but doesn't mean that we actually... Doesn't mean that... Well, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of the things that happened, okay, we're not in a usual thing. We were actually technically in recession in 2021 or 2022 because we had, what, 3 consecutive GDP readings that showed GDP was going downwards, right? But people ignored that. And now it's a different indicator, right? Because everything that's happened over the 3-4 years since 2020, since the pandemic, it's just all screwy, right? So that's why it's just a different time. But now we're getting back to normal, hopefully. And things are still a little screwy. That's the only way I could put it. It's just, it's not a usual, the markets aren't behaving how they should be. And data and jobs and everything else is not also behaving according to how it should be. So it's just a little wonky. That's all I could say. Echoes, what are your thoughts on Matic? Still lots of development active people. That is true. So I think overall I'm just neutral on Matic at this point. I've heard some bad stuff, but I know they're still developing. They still have a huge treasury. So, you know, they blew up in 2021. Can they recover in 2025? Yes. Yeah, Crow, it's going to be tough because everything is going to be out. All the IFC fights are going to be outside. All the crowded combat fights are going to be outside of the U.S. for a while. And but if we ever have another one in Florida, love to have you compete again. But yeah, the next ones, Singapore, then Dubai, then Shanghai, and then Abu Dhabi, and then Hong Kong. So like, not everyone is IFC fight, but every event for the next 6 months are going to be outside the U.S. Why not? Why wouldn't he come back from Dubai? Dubai is fun, though. I went to Dubai the first time earlier this year. It was during that crazy flooding, which was no fun, but still overall, you know, it's just an impressive city to be in. Especially if you have money. If you don't have money, then it's not that fun. But if you have money to spend, it's you know, it's a nice place to be. Nine Breaker, thank you. George guided me through 2 bear markets, and George will guide me through the recession. We're all George. Thank you for that. I met a lot of you guys last week. I mentioned this, but you know, that's basically what I do. Okay, I cover the news. I try to put things together, but ultimately, what I try to do is help you guys storm the weather and get through it. Get through the down and scary periods, man, especially during crypto winter, man. All my bullishness in crypto winter goes into one year and out the other, and people hate it. But the ones that listen, that stayed and continue to DCA, you know, they're all doing very well right now. This could be Bitcoin low for the next bear market. Yes. So when in doubt, zoom out. I've said that before many, many, many times, right? I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Like I said, last month we fell down to 53,000. Okay. The month prior, we did fall down to 56,000. So it's not like we haven't seen this level before. I mean, we've seen it many times here, right? Again, you can make the argument we've just been going sideways. Yes, we're not at 73,000. I realize that, but essentially we're still going sideways, right? We moved a little fast this cycle because of the ETFs. We have never broken through a previous high before a halving event ever in Bitcoin's history, and we did that this time, right? And now we're just kind of like chilling. Yes, we're coming down a little bit, but it's because we were moving at an accelerated pace already, and now we're just calming down. And now we got a lot of scary things, we got a lot of redistribution, all that. But imagine when it's all over. All the stuff about distributing creditors, especially Mt. Gox, who has been, I mean, we had so much fun over Mt. Gox redistribution for how many years? 10 years now. And finally, it's about to come to an end. That's fantastic. Forever, we don't have to worry about Mt. Gox anymore. Rich, it's true. Crow is so big and skilled. And it's quite hard to find someone within his weight range, too. He fought an IFC1 at 275. There's no one. Recently, I encountered Mike from Hawk Crypto. He's a big dude. He's like 240, like pure muscle, but still, he would be small versus Crow. There's like no one in this space that's a beast like Crow that can take him on. $265. Hey, do you think you could get down to 250? If you could get down to 250, I think I'd get someone. But even 265, it's too much. No one in this space, unless you're fighting like some big, overweight dude. But then, he would not be in fighting shape. Terry Morgan says, look at the Bitcoin chart since the collapse of FTX. It's been up, it's been down, but ultimately uptrend for 14 months. Yes. I mean, again, just look at this, right? We're at 15,000. 15,000. This was the end of 2022 and 2023. We had a lot of this, right? You could argue sideways. We're like in the 20s for a long, long time. People refuse to believe that we will ever get back to 60s. And then this happened. Right? Now we're just going sideways a little bit. But from here to here, what is that? Let's see. From here to even where we are right now is a 287% gain. Right? All you had to do was hold for what? A year and a half? 2 years? Not even 2 years? Year and a half for almost a 300% gain. Can't complain about that. Yeah, Bradley's not gonna fight, man. He's never gonna fight. I mean, he fought Logan and lost, and then yeah, all these major big influencers, they're not gonna fight unless you give them like crazy money. So we've been trying to get some of these smaller guys to commit, like Island Boys. So we might be able to get Island Boys to face off. Do a 2v1 or a brother versus brother thing. But like the bigger guys like Neon, Jack Doherty, Bradley Martin, those guys are like, they're gonna be too expensive for now. We'll see. Maybe next year the IFC continues to grow, Karate Combat continues to grow. Maybe then. I don't even know how much they weigh. The Island Boys probably like 120 pounds each. Kevin says, George, can Powell just tweet out a new lower rate? No, he cannot. He could have emergency session. Now, there's emergency session, and that happens this month. That would be pretty bullish. But I don't think it's that bad yet for him to do that. I don't think they're 85 pounds. It can't be. Seriously though, don't let the Island Boys make out with each other. I think President Awesome already said he would do it. He would do a 2 versus 1 match against them at the same time. I think that'd still be unfair. You would need about like 10 Island Boys to be fighting Awesome at the same time to make it somewhat even, but yeah. 100 coin. George, we're 100. We're the first unbottable, unhackable meme coin. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Can you play the XRP educational video? I don't know. I play it too often. I need to keep it on the download for a little bit. I bet there will be an emergency FOMC meeting if the sell-off continues. Yeah. You know, let's see what happens next week. This week was absolutely horrendous for the U.S. Markets. If next week we get a tremendous sell-off once again, then yes, then Powell may be forced to do an emergency session. Because it was absolutely brutal this week. Absolutely brutal. All right, guys, that is it. Hold strong. Continue to hold on DCA if you can. Focus on the future. There are a lot of scary things happening right now, but just know that we will get past all of these things, and Bitcoin will recover and make a new high, and we will forget about all these things, okay? Just know that Bitcoin is the ultimate asset to hold, and that's what the big boys are doing. So we should do it too. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on Monday, usual time, and look forward to my Sunday walk video tomorrow. All right.